Thank you for joining my channel. I appreciate you coming in to be with me as I show you how I mix rustic and elegance for the fall season. My first design is this vase. It's vintage and I've had it for quite some time. It's been in my collection. So I'm painting it with a white chalk paint, and then I'm going to dab on the second coat so I can have that plastered look. Now, for those of you who follow me on TikTok, you are aware that I do love to dye my own florals. So first I dye with a light orange using vinegar and mica powder. And I want that bit of elegance with the orange. And then I'm going to use a tan color here now, adding mica powder, adding a brown, but just enough to just give it a tan look. And of course, as you see, I use a spray bottle. Look at it activating there. I use a spray bottle, and I'm going to go ahead and spray those. Now I'm going to take these pumpkins I've had for quite some time and change them from year to year and add some chalk paint. And then I'm going to go ahead and decorate my vase. I'm using jute here, several strands of jute, and I'm going to tie it around the vase. And then I'm going to take my pine cones, put a hole in them with my soldering gun, and I'm going to add some old sticks. I have sticks galore with some hot glue to adhere. And then I take my felt leaves that I got from Bed Bath Beyond, add them on the side to give it a little bit of decor on the outside of the vase. And I use my sticks also to add my flowers into my vase because I don't need to bend them. And here is the final result. Now for my next DIY, I've decided that I'm going to do a wreath. So my wreath is not going to be this one you see or the next one. I just wanted to show you what I did for this year for my door. I just like to change up from time to time. So this year I did these two wreaths for my door, and I have a third one that I'm going to put on at the end of the fall season, and I'm working on that now. And here is, I'm cutting my jute that my mesh ribbon that I get from Deco Exchange, 10 by 10. So I have 10 by 10 pieces. And then I'm going to cut this as well, 10 by 10. And I get this from, like I said, from Deco Exchange as well. All my jute mesh ribbon comes from Deco Exchange. And I'm cutting those right down in the middle of those squares because I don't have to worry about fraying if I cut it that way. And I'm cutting 22 pieces each. Now here's my singular wreath form. I only use singular wreath forms for all my wreaths. So I'm going to do this floral design on the outside, and it doesn't matter about the pipe cleaners. They don't have to be any particular color because they will not be seen from the front. And I can actually hide the back as well, but since these are for me, I don't worry about hiding the back. And so I'm going to put this next one on, and then I'm going to turn this over, and I'm going to add hot glue to make sure that these are immovable. So they will not be moving around, they'll stay in place. And then I'm going to do another third of the wreath form with my design. Turn it around and again add hot glue. And then turn it back around and finish off my design. Okay, and then add hot glue to that. And now I'm going to go ahead, and I've decided on the buffalo to go with my green, the buffalo plaid to go with my green. So I'm going to roll one side clip, roll the other side clip, and put those two together, the green and the buffalo. And I'm going to mix and match. So it'll be buffalo on top on one, green on top on the other. And I'm going to follow that pattern all the way around the wreath. And now you can see after I do this how full this wreath looks. Just one singular wreath form, and how beautiful it looks so far. And that's the fullness of it. It's beautiful so far. Now I'm going to add this ribbon that I purchased from the Dollar Tree. I really fell in love with the pattern, so I bought this, and I'm cutting them in 8-inch strips. I don't want the strips to be too long because I have quite a bit of body to this wreath, so I don't need a lot of and it looks beautiful the way it is, so I don't need a lot of ribbon. And this is another one I bought from Dollar Tree, and I'm cutting these 8 inches long as well. Now this one I purchased from Amazon about maybe 5 or 6 years ago, and I use it maybe every year or two. And so I am adding 8-inch strips of this as well. And then I'm going to cut my ducktails first. And what you didn't see is that I did cut earlier some green and orange solid color ribbon. So I'm going to be adding that to my patterned ribbon. So I do four of each design. And then I'm going to use because my pipe cleaners weren't long enough, I'm going to use my wire to adhere the ribbon. My floral wire. All you need is about maybe a 4 or 5 inch piece, not very long. And then I just mix and match and go all the way around, as you can see. And go ahead and fluff up my ribbon and my mesh, fluff everything up so it looks good. And I did a bow earlier, and I didn't show you how I did the bow, but I do have a tutorial on how to do my bow, so. And here is the finished look. Now, I did take that sign off in the pumpkins because I found out I didn't like that. I just like the plain look, so I kept it that way. And I did fluff that up some more. Now, for my next design, I decided I'm going to do a dupe. Now, I didn't see this piece. I actually had a piece, and I wanted to know what to do with it. And when I saw this piece, I figured maybe I can just, at least the same color scheme, even though the piece is not similar. And so I'm going to give my piece a coat, 2 coats actually, of white chalk paint. I'm going to do the top and the sides, but the bottom I'm going to leave in that metal form. The top and sides is like a cement, almost like a cement. And the bottom is a metal. So I'm going to make my mauve color using blue and red. So I mix my blue and red until I get my mauve, and I'm adding some white to lighten it up some. And a little bit more white because I want it a little bit lighter. And I think I'm happy with this. And so I'm going to now take a fine bristled paintbrush, and I'm going to use that to paint my mauve onto my metal, onto the bottom part of this piece. Now, there are a lot of nooks and crannies in this piece, so I have to be very mindful of that as I'm steadying my hand to go around this piece with the mauve paint. I prefer doing it this way than adding painter's tape because I don't have to worry about it bleeding this way. Now, I will speed this up because I know that no one wants to see me paint this piece for the next hour it takes to do so. So I'm going to speed this up. But I just wanted you all to get an idea of how a steady hand can make a beautiful, beautiful piece. So here I am now speeding this up. And I'm going to turn this around shortly so that you can see what I've done thus far. And because the bottom looks so worn, like I said, this is a vintage piece, I decided to go ahead and paint the bottom mauve as well. So including the legs on the piece. I paint the whole piece mauve. Now these balls came with the piece and they were the same design, and I'm painting them a white chalk paint, and then I add my mauve, of course, and here's the finished result. Now I did add a gloss on the deco balls. I did not do so on the bottom of the piece. I wanted it to look more rustic, and I wanted the deco balls just to stand out a little more, so I did add gloss to the deco balls. Now it's not as beautiful as the piece, the original piece that I'm trying to dupe this from, but I still like the way this came out. I'm pretty pleased with it. So my next design, I decided that I'm going to do a lighting, I guess a night light type deal. And so these pieces, the pedestal pieces with the vases on them, I did those in one of my tutorials prior to this. So if you'd like to see how I did that, you can go back and see how I did that. But it's pretty simple. I just took and painted white chalk paint and then added my vase with some glass glue. And then now I'm taking my remote control string lights. I added the remote part in the bottom, added some potpourri. Now I'm stringing some more of the lights into the vase, adding some more potpourri on top of that to hide those lights. And then I'll string some more of the lights into the vase. And then I'm adding my fall pieces. I've had these for quite some time as well. I bought several bags of these, I believe from Walmart years ago. It's been at least between 10 and 15 years ago. I'd say somewhere around 12 years maybe ago. So I've had these for quite some time. That's when they made them very, very well. You know, pieces, they made the really good pieces, and you can get them for a good price. Then, of course, I add some more of the string lights, and I'm adding my fall florals that I got for free. And I'm going to let some hang on the side. And there's my rustic elegant piece. That's my night light. I use these as night lights. And I do keep them in all year. I just, during the Christmas season, I let them blink. Now, during the fall and spring and summer seasons, they just, stay steady. And, I don't blink them unless I'm just in the mood for that. But for the most part, I let them blink for the Christmas season, as you can see here. Now, there's 7 different designs of speed, I guess, for lack of a better way to say that. And I can use any one of them at any time. I just decide what I am in the mood for that particular day or night. Now, for my next DIY, this time I'm deciding to do a centerpiece. So I'm going to take and do a fall centerpiece. And of course, like I said, I take my pumpkins and I just redo them. I decide each year what I want to do with them. And so with these pumpkins, I'm going to make them more elegant than rustic. So I'm adding the white chalk paint, which will add a little bit of rustic feel to the pumpkins. Now, for those of you, again, who follow me on TikTok, you'll see that I did this about a month ago. I did this design that I'm about to show you approximately 1 month ago. So I just used some old floral stems to hold it in place so that I can put it on this little rail, on this little, I don't know what you want to call this, but this holds my pieces when I want to paint them and have something to hold them up without them touching. So this way I can go ahead and paint the entire piece without painting half and then sitting them down, waiting for that to dry, and then painting the other half. This way I can just go ahead and paint the entire piece, put them on the stem, and then get this little holder to hold them for me while they dry. I love each year deciding what I'm going to do with my pumpkins. Um, I do different designs, like I said, with the other pumpkins earlier, with my centerpiece or my vase arrangement. I just did a rustic design on those, just by coloring with the chalk paint. But for these, I'm going to actually do just a bit more, and I'm going to make them elegant. So after they all dry, here I am now giving these the elegant touch by adding gold paint. And how I'm doing this is I'm using a feathered paintbrush, and I'm going around and giving it a drip design, kind of look like the gold is dripping off of the pumpkins. So that gives it that elegance that I'm looking for. So it's a bit of rustic with a bit of elegance. And I'm going to do that for each and every one that I've painted. And I think I end up doing one or two more. I can't remember now, because I did this tutorial I had. Like I said, I did this about a month ago on TikTok. And so again, I'm giving it a drip effect all the way around. And so I end up giving all these 2 coats so they can have a fullness thereof. And I do the same thing to the stems. I paint them a chalk white, and then I did cut it out, but I also gave them a gold finish. I thought about keeping them white because of the gold on top of gold, but then I remembered that I'm going to add some embellishments to the pumpkins, so I decided to go ahead and give them that gold finish. But first I'm going to finish the white, and then at some point I add gold. But here I have all this jewelry, or not all this jewelry, but I do have a ton of jewelry that was gifted me by 2 friends that attend the church I go to. And so I let them know I would be using them for my crafting, and they were okay with that. And so here is some of the jewelry pieces that I'm using, adding to my pumpkins, again, to give elegant and rustic looks to my pumpkins. Because as I stated earlier in the introduction, I love elegance and rustic. I love the combination, putting the two together. And here I, again, received a ton of yarn, not literally a ton, but I received quite a bit of yarn from the church. They were going to find something to do with it, and they realized that I was a crafter, and so they gave me so much yarn. And so here's some of it, and I'm using some of it to add to my pumpkins to give again that bit of rustic and elegant look to my pumpkins. Isn't that beautiful? So here again are some jewelry, some earrings, and I painted them chalk white, and now I'm adding the gold, just about maybe a third of the way up on these pieces. And after they dry, I of course go ahead and add those to my pumpkins as well. Now these again came in the bag of pumpkins I got, I believe from Target, and I bought these probably 10 years ago or more. And you get several bags, and they came, the small ones, different sizes. Now these are remote control candles that I purchased from Michael's, again, probably 10 years ago, and I use them year after year after year. They look worn, but I love that. It gives it a rustic look. And they were only $2.99 on clearance, so I bought all the boxes they had at that price. And now I'm adding my stuffing from a tree that I took apart so that I can use the pieces for my DIYs. And now I'm going to add my pumpkins. So here we go with this rustic and bit of elegance that I love so much. I did a DIY probably about a year or so ago on my acorns, on how I do my acorns. I just used 2 different size jutes. The larger, of course, on the top. And this is the finished piece. Now for my next design, I decided that I wanted to just make some elegant pumpkins. So these rings I purchased from Amazon, again, probably somewhere between 10 and 15 years ago. I can't remember exactly when, but it's been a long time. And I remember when I purchased the first package, I wasn't sure how the quality would be. And so when I received them, I was so impressed with the quality, I ordered several more. And so I'm taking the smaller ones now and I'm making pumpkins with these. And not only will they be pumpkins, they can be used throughout the year for other decor. So I'm adding hot glue to adhere it to these little wooden, I guess, pallets or whatever you want to call these, that I received from or purchased from Amazon. And I'm adding again some stuffing from the tree that I took apart. And I'm doing it all with hot glue. This way I know it won't be permanent. I can pull it up easily and redo this per season. So here I'm going to add the hot glue all around and add the stuffing until I get the desired look I want. And I did two earlier, two different sizes, both larger than this one, so that I can have like a triad of pumpkins, elegant pumpkins. And finishing this up, I go ahead and add my embellishments. And as you can see, these are the two, one of the ones I did earlier. And I used the gold pieces instead of the wooden that I had taken from the lamps I revised in one of my tutorials and turned into vases. And those two gold pieces I used for the larger pumpkins I made. And I think they turned out beautifully. Like I said, I added embellishments here. You can see some green vine on one, gold vine on the other. And I added rustic pumpkin in one and elegant pumpkins in the other, and added some glass knobs to the top with some jewelry again to embellish. And I love the way they turned out. 3 different sizes, and they're all so beautiful. My elegant pumpkins, I call them. Now for my next design, I'm going to just do something again simple. I purchased this vase from an antique mall. I can't remember how long ago. It's been some years ago again. And I am now deciding to do something with it. It came in the purple color, and of course I never did like the purple, but I just never knew what color I was going to want. I didn't want to do it in chalk white paint. I just wanted something different. So this year, since this rustic blue seems to be so popular, I'm going with that, and I'm finally doing something with this piece, and I'm going to paint it all the way around in rustic blue, of course, and then I'm going to give it a second coat, and the second coat makes it look beautiful. So here it is. Beautiful. I did the bottom as well. And of course, as you know from my TikTok channel, I dye my own florals. So I don't want it to be an exact blue of the blue I have on the vase, but I want it to be somewhat similar, maybe a little lighter, a little darker. So I'm adding my mica powder to my spray bottle, and this time I'm using alcohol instead of vinegar. And I'm going to go ahead and put a hole into my pine cones. Now, I did not paint or color these pine cones. These pine cones came in a package of Christmas decor years ago that I received. And so I'm using them now. And of course, as you see, as I normally do, take my sticks, 2 or 3 of them, use hot glue to adhere, give them time to dry. And I cut my sticks down in different sizes so that my my embellishments will be layered, kind of layered. And this baby's breath I received from Solar Woods. I just love that rustic look on this baby's breath. Love it. So that's why I purchased this, because I love the way it looks. It's white, but it's rustic white. So I can use that all year long in different arrangements. And so these florals are so well made. I have to take my soldering gun to put a hole through them so that it won't push the flowers out of place. And so I do that, add some hot glue, and then of course use my sticks that I've cut in different sizes so that I can layer my arrangement. And this is the final result. I did a couple different colors of blue for this piece. And once again, love the way it turned out. I love the vase. I love the color. I'll probably keep this color for a couple years, maybe more. Depends on how much I love it. Right now, I love it that much. So thank you for joining my channel. I do appreciate it. I hope you were able to get something out of what I created. And I hope you come back and see more. I do love creating. I do love taking pieces that I already have in my collection and refurbishing them instead of going out buying new pieces. But I also like to create from scratch as well. So in my next tutorial, I will be creating from scratch. So once again, thank you for joining. And if you like what you see, please hit the like button and please subscribe. Your support would mean a lot to me. And I look forward to seeing you again next time. Thank you so much. Bye for now. May God bless you all.